Hey guys, David Phillips, attorney. We've been asked the question, will my filing bankruptcy affect my spouse? A good question that comes up quite often, and the answer to the question depends on the circumstances of your particular situation. If you and your wife truly have separate debts, in Tennessee being a non-community property state, it is possible that you could have a credit card, for instance, and the wife not be on it, or vice versa, the husband, if the wife were filing bankruptcy. So you can have separate debts, and therefore your filing bankruptcy would really have nothing to do with your spouse if the debts were truly separate. However, oftentimes the spouse may very well be a co-signer for your particular debt. In those instances, if you're looking at filing a Chapter 7 case to get rid of the debt, then there'll be no real relief for the spouse. He or she would still owe those funds just as if no bankruptcy had ever been filed. So you've got to look at the account, how it was set up. Is the spouse on the account with you, or simply have signatory privileges to use the card, things like that. But if it's truly separate, then you may be able to file a bankruptcy without your spouse that would not impact them as to that debt. With that being said, though, there is the issue that if you are married, generally the credit bureaus are going to look at what's called a joint a joint credit report, and in those instances, your bankruptcy filing may very well be on the same page as the credit history for your spouse. It's what I like to call guilt by association. Meaning it's better to be married to someone who has not bankrupted versus someone who has. But that wouldn't mean necessarily that the spouse had done anything wrong in this example. It's just that the creditors reviewing the credit report would note that the spouse, in our example, had filed bankruptcy, and that might have a slight negative impact on the other party. If you were to go to buy things together after a bankruptcy filing, for instance, a Chapter 7 that was discharged, the party that had filed bankruptcy definitely would have credit that would not be as good as probably the person that did not file, the spouse, and that could be an issue if you were trying to buy something together. Might be wise to just try to make purchases separate at that point, especially for the spouse that did not file a bankruptcy case, and he or she's credit then hopefully would not be impacted to any great degree. If you're filing a Chapter 13 case, there is a little bit of help there, actually quite a bit, in that you can make provisions in the Chapter 13 plan to pay that credit card, in our example, in full, hopefully with interest. And in those cases, oftentimes there'll be no impact to the spouse that did not file bankruptcy beyond maybe the credit issues that we just discussed. But they would not be able to go after the spouse for the debt that is owed on the credit card if it is being paid for in the Chapter 13 plan in full. Great question. If you do have more questions about if the spouse would be affected in a bankruptcy filing, be sure and give my offices a call. We do return phone calls promptly. If you prefer to email me, just go to our website, phillipsbankruptcy.com, go over to the contact section, shoot me a quick email, and we will get back with you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching the video.